Ibrahim Traoré was scanning standard military briefs when something caught his attention, something that made his blood turn cold. Buried among normal data were traces of an undeclared foreign operation that had been operating for decades. Israeli agents had been performing clandestine operations in Burkina Faso, and what Traoré did next would shake the Middle East to its core. It began with what appeared to be a run-of-the-mill security briefing. His coffee went cold in front of him, untouched, as Defense Minister Traoré burst into the room. Sweat glistened on his forehead despite the air conditioning. In his shaking hands, he held a folder stamped, "Urgent Eyes Only." "Mr. President," he indicated, voice shaking beneath the gravity of what he was to announce. "We overheard something during last night's comm sweep. This is everything." Traoré shifted forward, the leather of his chair groaning with tension. He hadn't seen Traoré so disturbed since their academy years, when mortar rounds had tested their mettle on the battlefield. "Show me," Traoré instructed. Within the first folder were encrypted radio communications, technical analysis forms, and chilling coordinates identifying a site within Burkina Faso. But the source did not come from the usual suspects. The metadata header was stamped, "Source, Tel Aviv. Destination, deploy assets. Location, Burkina Faso." Traoré gazed silently. "Traoré," he whispered finally. "How long has this been going on?" Traoré swallowed. "From our analysis, sir, 3 years, possibly longer. The language strikes with the force of blows. Throughout 3 years that Traoré had been laboring to restore national sovereignty, foreign intelligence had functioned under his very nose. The first decoded communication appeared on the screen of the secure tablet. Its incisive bureaucratic language could not disguise the devastation within. Target Alpha confirmed. Goldmine production statistics sent to Moscow. Local authorities not aware of monitoring complex. His fists were balled. Someone had been pilfering the nation's most sensitive economic information. Target Beta operational. Presidential communications intercepts running. Subject unaware of breach. They had been intercepting his intimate conversations with his family, his advisors, his friends. Target Gamma needs intervention now. Iranian weapons shipment picked up. Suggest intervention. Traoré's voice interrupted the silence again. "There's something else. Something personal." Buried deeper in the files was a psychological profile. Subject, Ibrahim Traoré. Threat level, critical. The document dated 2 months prior to the time he'd even assumed office. It analyzed his political leanings clinically, his anti-Western orientation, and his perceived Russian alignment. But the last part froze his blood. Neutralization options, contingency plans for his ouster, assassination, before he'd even assumed the sash of office. And then the coup de grace. Traoré gave him a photograph. It depicted Colonel David Ouedraogo, his personal security chief, the man who had sat at his dinner table and played with his children, shaking hands with someone unknown in a Ouagadougou cafe. The ID on the man stated, Eli Roth, Mossad operations officer. It all crashed together. The offhand questions Ouedraogo would ask regarding changes in the schedule. His enthusiasm to sit in on sensitive briefings with Russian and Chinese delegations. His timely absences. 8 months, Traoré whispered. 8 months they've had access to everything. "How many know?" he asked. "Just us," Traoré said, "and the 2 analysts who discovered it. They've been made to keep quiet." The tempest raging in Traoré's mind gave way to dark determination. If Ouedraogo was breached, how many others were? How many layers had this foreign incursion extended? Within the next 48 hours, the extent of the breach became clear. 3 secret monitoring stations, a data intercept system redirecting all internet traffic via Israeli servers, and worst of all, an assassination list. 3 local clerical leaders, all vocal regarding Gaza, all assassinated. Their killings attributed to jihadist terror. But secretly, messages revealed the reality. Targets eliminated, attribution avoided, operation successful. "They murdered our citizens," Traoré remarked softly, his eyes fixed on the evidence. "On our soil, in our name." Traoré's reaction was from somewhere deeper than diplomacy. "Then they've issued a declaration of war against Burkina Faso." What followed would rock the world. At 3:47 a.m. on the dot, Burkina Faso simultaneously attacked all three operational facilities. Traoré personally led the charge on the main facility outside the capital. He wouldn't trust that to anyone else. Within, they found what no one dared even dream: a complete Mossad base masquerading as a communications firm. Sealed cases with assassination equipment inside, fake passports, and in a secret vault, thousands of files describing Project New Canaan, a 12-nation spy network across Africa. But one report stunned him. Subject: Ibrahim Traoré. Means of elimination: helicopter engine failure during routine inspection. Date of execution: 1 month hence. They were plotting his murder. 3 governments would suffer. 3 days later, Traoré addressed the international media. Behind him, lines of seized Israeli gear were arrayed in mute judgment, and the world heard. His words bore the weight of Burkina Faso's moral leadership, but also the watching world. With cameras rolling and leaders listening, President Ibrahim Traoré took the floor. Today, we denounce state terrorism executed by Israel against African sovereignty. He produced intercepted communications, the Hebrew writing harshly translated into English. Each report was incriminating. While Israel purported to combat terrorism, the records told a different story. They had been conducting systematic terror against African states that had dared to support Palestinian rights. The evidence was convincing. Satellite photos of clandestine tracking sites, Tel Aviv internal communications with agents planted in Ouagadougou, video declarations from seized agents, technical diagrams of murder gear. The message was inescapable, and within a matter of hours, front pages worldwide bore it. Israel made quick denials. But in the light of such comprehensive evidence, the world was not believing. And much worse for Tel Aviv, other countries started to pipe up. The same intelligence began filtering in from Mali, Niger, and Chad. Burkina Faso was not alone. The fallout was historic. Within 6 months, 12 African countries had simultaneously expelled Israeli intelligence activities. The African Union adopted its strongest resolution in decades, categorically condemning the systematic espionage and extrajudicial killings conducted by foreign intelligence agencies. But for Traoré, the personal cost was huge. 3 attempts to assassinate him came in the months following the exposure. Colonel Ouedraogo, his former security advisor, now Mossad agent, was discovered dead in his cell, officially reported as suicide. But the timing had many suspecting it was an execution, designed to kill him before he could be a witness. The betrayal was more profound than any Traoré had ever endured. Night after night in the presidential palace, now vacuumed every day for embedded devices, he tossed with questions that would not abate. How many had been compromised? Was anyone ever trustworthy? Could there be genuine sovereignty in a world where foreign operatives felt empowered to manipulate and kill on African soil? Yet he never wavered. A year to the day since his first revelation, Traoré took position again at the same lectern. The auditorium was full to capacity. The world was watching. They said the cost of independence would be too great, he declared, his voice calm, projected over homes and streets from Dakar to Nairobi. They said that taking on great powers would come with a price. He pointed to the flags raised behind him now, the flags of 12 African states standing together. But the price of silence, the cost of letting our people be killed, our resources plundered, and our leaders being assassinated, that price was greater yet. The auditorium exploded. Thunderous applause rolled. Outside, thousands filled the streets of Ouagadougou, their cheering carrying into the night. That day, Africa stood tall, because one small country had decided to speak, to rebel, to lay bare the truth. And that act of courage ignited a continental awakening. Investigations on the continent uncovered still more Israeli operations nesting in plain sight. What started out as a standard security audit became the biggest counterintelligence win in Africa since independence. And it began with one man, paging through silent military briefs, who found the courage to risk everything for the soul of his country. And for that, Ibrahim Traoré paid a price. But the price of silence would have been much higher.